this meeting to order. Clerk of the board, may I have a roll call?
Freeholder Carter. Freeholder Estrada.
Present.
Freeholder Granados.
Here.
Freeholder Hudak.
Here.
Freeholder Kowalski.
Here.
Freeholder Mirabella.
Present.
Freeholder Wright.
Here.
Vice Chairman Bergen.
Here.
And Chairman Jallo.
Here.
Chairman, you have 8 freeholders present.
Thank you. Clerk of the board, would you please lead us in a prayer and salute to the flag?
Humbly we ask God, the giver of peace and the lover of charity, to give the entire family of nations true agreement with his will, and to grant the light of his spirit on all who work for justice and peace. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk of the board, would you please read the statement of compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act?
The chair wishes to announce that pursuant to requirements of New Jersey statutes annotated Title 10, Chapter 4, Section 10 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting of the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Union has been given by mailing the annual meeting schedule for the year 2015, along with periodic changes necessitated by circumstances to the newspapers circulating within the County of Union who are designated to receive such notice, and by posting the annual meeting schedule for the year 2015 in the Administration Building, and further by filing the annual meeting schedule for the year 2015 with the Office of the County Clerk.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to invite the Honorable County Clerk, Ms. Joanne Rajapi, to the podium.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure tonight to present to you a revision we have made to our ballots. This is probably the first major revision we've had in over 10 years since we instituted optical scanning. And I brought with me tonight 2 samples. It is not just the vote by mail ballot that's going to change, it's the official machine ballot that will change, as well as the sample ballot in terms of color. But the major change, this is a English-only ballot on my left for Springfield, and on my right is a bilingual ballot from the city of Rawley for the general election coming up in November. You will see the most significant change from our regular absentees is the orientation of the ballot. This is how our absentees in the past have been orientated, vertically. They're now going to be orientated horizontally, more in keeping with the machine ballot. The other big changes, if I can just point them out to you, are the color changes. As you know, this is the 3rd year we've had the school board on the general election ballot. And we've noticed that there is a significant drop-off in voter participation from the general election vote to the school board vote. So what we did was we thought if we color-coded it, it might be more obvious that there's 2 sections to vote, and people might be more, ready to do that. The other thing we did on the absentee, which we cannot do on the machine ballot, is we increased the font size of the instructions. Very important. We can't do that on the machine ballot because we're constrained by statute of the font size there, but we could do it on this. And of course, this ballot changes depending on the year. So for example, you see this white space. With this white space, on the Springfield ballot, you have 2 people running for township committee. But in some towns, you have a mayor, you have 3 or 4 council people. So this will go down further. Or in some instances, we have a question, a public question. So in some instances, there may not be enough room to put the instructions on the front. They might have to go in the back. It will change depending on the type of election we have. Next year with the presidential, it might be very crowded, depending on the number of candidates. So the machine ballot will now be in 3 colors also, red, white, and blue. The sample ballot will be in 3 colors also, as well as this ballot. We're very excited about the changes. We think it's going to give more clarity and ease of voting to people. Questions?
Freeholder Estrada.
You know, with everything that's going on today in our society, often, and you mentioned that we have bilingual ballots that we have, and what's the criteria in percentages as to what determines for us to have a specific district listed as one requiring another language?
It is a federal law, not a state law, not a local law, federal law that is based on a percentage of each district. So 10% or more of any district with names that are considered by the federal government, I'm not sure what the formula is, names that they consider to be Spanish or Portuguese, or in the case of Bergen County, Korean surnames. They have a program. So depending on what that program, that census says, they will designate a district as having the necessity to be in that language. Bergen County, which has over 80 communities, must publish their ballot in English, Spanish, and Korean. Now, we have 428 districts in Union County. There are 5 towns in the county that are all English, like Springfield. There are other towns, approximately 8, that are all bilingual. The balance of the towns have certain districts which are designated to be bilingual, and only in those districts do I print the calendar bilingual. I don't do it for the whole town.
You know, back in the 1900s in Jersey City, there was numerous districts that were printed in German as well. So, you know, there's a lot of history behind this, and it has nothing to do with what we're finding today as a backlash in terms of communities that are very much close amongst us and in large numbers. Thank you so much for that answer.
You're welcome.
Freeholder Marabella.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Joanne, so the people that are here or might see this on TV, the rebroadcast will get this information. How are you planning on publicizing the changes to the general public?
It will be up on our website, our county website. It will be on my app, my voter app, Union County Votes.
It's a great app.
I know, you've got it.
I like the pictures.
And it will also go out to the press tomorrow morning.
Okay, good. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you,
Other
Chairman.
questions? Freeholder Hudak.
Thank you, Chairman. Joanne, just in terms of, you know, do we have any numbers or statistically of, you know, how many people are missing the Board of Education?
No, I
election?
did a small sample
Yeah.
last year, actually, because in some towns the drop-off was significant. So, for example, if you had 30% of the voters voting in the general, you might have the same amount that would vote in a school board election, 9 or 10%.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, you know, I noticed in my town was you know, and my expectation was going to be that, you know, because the first year we did this was 2012 as a presidential year.
Right.
It was an outlier a little bit because of Sandy, and, you know, that did impact things. However, we were surprised that, you know, people missed it or were confused in terms of the instructions. So have we looked at other counties and how they're addressing it? I mean, because I know the county clerks do get together. Is there, you know, a working group on this, have a discussion? I mean, I imagine, you know, it's a tricky thing for all of the counties that are trying to get this right.
I'll be honest with you, every county clerk that I know of designs their ballot differently. There's no
Sure.
uniform way. It's the clerk's discretion, but everyone's goal is to make it simple and easy. So, for example, our columns in the partisan election are A, B, C, D, E.
Yeah.
We decided to put on the school board 1, 2, 3, 4. The reason for that is if you look down, some people might think, well, under number 1, is that the A column? And that's why we put that black bar across there. We didn't want to confuse a nonpartisan election with a political election.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely understand where you're coming from, and it's a tough. You know, look, at the end of the day, it's all new because we're doing these nonpartisan elections
Right.
in November. We never have. We're doing Board of Education elections in November. We never have. It makes a tremendous amount of sense from a dollars and cents perspective because we're not sending out staff and equipment and machines and having people do, when we have, recounts in some of these races, we're not expending more of your resources, more of the county's resources. It's all a good thing. And, I commend you for coming up with a solution to try to make people more aware of it. I mean, one thing I would hope just over the long haul, and it's not just about Union County, I think the state should take leadership on it. I'm sure they won't. But, about trying to find a way to make this work better universally for New Jersey residents, because it's a great thing, but I'm always disappointed, being at the polls on election day and someone comes out and says, hey, I didn't know they were voting for Board of Education. I didn't
Well,
see it. And it's not, and it's
that's
really
right.
not on you. It's
No.
a tough situation.
But I know you have a vested interest in it because someone in your family's on the school board. I was on the school board
Well,
for many
You
years.
got to hand out palm cards for mom.
Right, so I'm very sensitive to the issue about school elections, and
Yeah.
I think it's also a matter of educating voters. Some voters don't realize that these are the people that vote for the largest portion of your taxes. School board members, that's where most of your taxes go to the school. So you want to elect people that are going to be thoughtful and judicious in that process.
Sure.
So we need to educate people better
I
also.
completely agree with that, and hopefully the state will come forth with money to do that, and I'm sure they won't. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Any
Thank
other
you, Joanne.
questions? All right, I want to also thank you and commend you and your staff
Thank
for
you.
Responding to the need of our residents and coming up with a creative way to ensure that our residents are making the best informed decisions with regard to voting. I especially like the fact that it is closer to the actual ballot that, from the polling place, and so that it's not different and doesn't lead to that confusion. Anything to address the issues of voter confusion is very important, and I thank you for taking the lead
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
making sure that this gets resolved.
And just so everyone knows, the ballots for the general election will be available September 19th. And at the 21st of September, they'll be in my offices in Westfield and in Elizabeth for anyone who needs an absentee ballot.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we're at the part of the agenda for the approval of communications. May I have a motion to approve communications?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Moved by Freeholder Mirabella, seconded by Freeholder Kowalski. Clerk of the Board, may I have a roll call?
Freeholder Estrada,
Yes.
Freeholder Granados,
Yes.
Freeholder Hudak,
Aye.
Freeholder Kowalski,
Yes.
Freeholder Mirabella,
Aye.
Freeholder Wright,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Bergen,
Yes.
and Chairman Jallo.
Aye.
Chairman, you have 8 votes in the affirmative.
Excellent. At this point, the meeting is now open to the public for the purpose of commenting on resolutions being offered for adoption only. Kindly state your name, town of residence for the record, and the resolution to which you are referring, and adhere to the 5-minute time limit. Thank you.
Good evening, Chairman. Good evening, freeholders of Union County. My name is Dominic Prophet. I'm with the Court-Appointed Special Advocates of Union County, and I'm here on behalf of and in support of the HART grant. We have been a recipient of the HART grant for a few years. And the HART grant has been instrumental in the work that we do. We service, or we rather serve, youth who are in foster care, and they have faced the most traumatic abuse and often the most traumatic neglect in our county. And CASA of Union County actually sees the worst of those cases during our time and our work with the courts of the family court of Union County. In particular, the HART grant has been used to develop an art therapy training and work with our youth. Most of our youth, quite frankly, when they have been abused and neglected, they lose, quite frankly, trust with those that they care for or they hope would have cared for them. And quite frankly, they lose hope and trust with the community in general. And oftentimes their voice is never heard. And their thoughts and their feelings are never expressed because of the lack of trust. I think in using our art therapy training and using arts with them to help them communicate, to help them express themselves, has allowed us to really open and break down the barrier between those who want to help, those who want to support them, and quite frankly, those who want to be in their lives forever. So in closing, I would like to say that the Heart Grant hopefully will continue to do that for us and continue to assist us to provide that information and that support for our youth. One success story I would like to just end with is that because of the Heart Grant, because of the work that our volunteers have done with our youth, and provided them an avenue to express themselves, particularly through art, we have had youth who not only have given us reasons why they want to be supported, but many of them have taken on the road towards leaving the foster care system and pursuing actually a career in art. So this is something that has, quite frankly, is a gift that keeps on giving. So I want you to know this and to know that the Heart Grant has been instrumental in supporting the youth, particularly those who have been abused and neglected, and I thank you for that, and we come here in support of it for hopefully more years to come. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Sister Judy Mertz, and I'm with Josephine's Place, and I'm speaking on behalf of Resolution 710. And I just would like to thank each of you who certainly has been part of the moving forth of the Heart Grant. Our experience at Josephine's Place has been a total integration of poetry, art, music, expression, oral expression. We have involved the moms and many of the children. As you'll have an opportunity, we've brought a DVD for each of you tonight, and that DVD really brings together the certainly interdisciplinary experience of over the years. And it shows Josephine's Place, life inside. But we are so grateful that you have helped us to move our women, who 98% are first language is Spanish, to moving towards English, to self-confidence, to being able to discover their own artistic abilities, music and poetry. And it is our hope and desire that as we move forward, we continue in a very supportive relationship, because we look forward this year to, again, further deepening and integrating the art, sculpture, paintings of the women's own culture background as it is integrated here in the United States. So I thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on resolutions being offered for adoption?
Good evening. David Arminio from the Union Township Historical Society. Reverend James Caldwell of the First Presbyterian Church of Elizabethtown was an instrumental figure in our fight for freedom during the Revolutionary War of Independence. His story is both tragic and heroic. He sacrificed everything for the freedom that we enjoy today. We at the Union Township Historical Society have an opportunity to take his story to the elementary schools in Union. A Union High School graduate who is a professional actor is taking on the task of reenacting the part of Reverend Caldwell for the fourth graders of our 5 elementary schools to recount the story of the murder of his wife, Hannah, during the Battle of Connecticut Farms, his role in the Battle of Springfield, and his own murder at the hands of James Morgan. The students will have an opportunity to learn about New Jersey as the crossroads of the Revolution and the part played by the citizens of Elizabeth, Connecticut Farms, which is Union, and Springfield. Hopefully, the children will increase the pride in their town and better appreciate the freedoms that they have today, bought with the sacrifices of those who gave their lives long ago. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Mauro Wolf, resident of Mountainside, New Jersey. And good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Buenas noches todos. I rise in support of Resolution 215-712, which relates to the improvements at the Watchung Stables Equestrian Center in Mountainside, New Jersey, which I think, by profession, I'm an attorney. but I'm here before you today as a dad. And there are a number of folks here who participated in the stables, and they're not prepared, but I'd like for all the young kids to stand up so that you can see them. These are the children who are going to benefit from the improvements at the stables. And I wanted you to see them because it's an important thing for me as a father. This is my daughter, Ella. And I've seen all of these kids ride. And what's really great about riding, and I think this is really important to communicate to you, is that your support is not limited to the four corners of a building or the bricks. You guys can sit. That's not what your support represents. What your support represents is the support for these characters that just stood before you, and an institution that develops and hones character. I've taken up riding at the age of 46, and one of the things that I find amazing and powerful about the experience is that for those of us who've been athletes at a much younger age, you're 8.5, 9 feet in the air with no seatbelt riding a horse, and it's scary. And I've seen the transition in my daughter who started riding at age 9, and within 6 months, you could see the increase in confidence. And I told her jokingly one day that if she can handle a 2,000-pound animal, she can handle basically any boy. They're about as smart, at least I was at that age. But having said that, I do want to say that it is important because while I have a daughter, I look out in the marketplace and I look in the community and I say to myself, what's out there that provides this kind of institution, this ability to provide confidence, especially for younger girls. When you're on a horse, you can't be on Instagram. You can't be on your phone, even though I watch some of them try. You can't do that. And it's also dangerous. There are many girls who and young men who've ridden, and even grown-ups who've ridden, who've been injured on these horses. So it's a serious and real thing. And I think that combination as a whole is what makes riding such an important aspect of our community. And as a resident of Mountainside, where the stables are located, I particularly find it to be a jewel of both Mountainside and a jewel to Union County. And while I don't say this very often, and I suppose you don't hear it very often, I rise and applaud for this board and for what you've done for Union County and what you've done for Mountainside. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else you're gonna add that your daughter's also?
Yes,
riding?
I would be remiss if I didn't.
Gotcha. Well, anyone else wishing to be heard? We usually do one at a time. Sorry, one crack at it.
One crack.
But I got you.
Hi, my name's Diana Knight. I'm a resident of Summit, and I'm not a public speaker, but I was motivated to come speak here today because both of my experience and the experience I see for the kids at Watchung Stables supporting Resolution 712. I board a horse there. For as long as I can remember, I've wanted to spend as much time as possible around horses and animals in general. I'm actually a veterinarian in the area, and I'm very passionate about the relationship that people can build with animals, and I've seen it in my job be both life-changing and life-saving for people. And I think that what it's meant to me is, the opportunity to have a horse and board a horse in a place that's very safe. They're very well cared for. I have been incredibly impressed with how well the animals are treated, both in the program and also my boarded horse. I get a phone call at 10 o'clock at night the minute anything goes wrong from Rachel, who runs the stables, and it's amazingly safe for the kids as well, given that we are talking about 1,200-pound animals and small children. I think it's an incredible program, and for me, I think what's most important to relay to you guys is not the experience for an adult like me, but I see in those kids myself as a kid, and how much it means to them is very important to me because they spend, so much time. Probably most of them would not be able to ride. It's not very common in this area to have a facility like Watchung. It's the nicest facility I have toured in the area. including stables that are 4 times its cost. And it's also a program that really teaches them responsibility and communication. Many of them lease horses through the county, and they are responsible for those animals. I think it gives them the confidence to be better people and probably better communicators. And I think for that reason, I'm really happy that the county is choosing to support this program. I can see in those kids, future veterinarians, future achievers, in a way that they might not be if they didn't have that relationship. So, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak on resolutions being offered for adoption?
Okay. Hi, I'm Emma Nordstrom. I live in Mountainside. I'm about Resolution 712. I'm the president of the Watchung Junior Hunt Club, which consists of more than 130 members. It ranges from kids of ages 9 to 18. So we see all types of kids, all types of commitment, but I mean, they all love what they do. All of us are extremely excited about the planned improvements for the facility. I mean, we want to be able to ride there year round. A lot of us that are more committed, we go other places during the winter. But we'd rather stay there. I mean, we know these horses, we grew up there. This is kind of our second home. I'm now a high school senior at Governor Livingston in Berkeley Heights. And I mean, I've been riding there since I was 9 at Watchung Stables. But, so I'm coming up on my 8th year there, which is a long time. As Diana mentioned, I'm part of the lease program as well, so I spend every day there. I lease a mare named Sky, and she's adorable. For many of us, like I said, Watchung Stables is our second home, and riding is our sport. I mean, a lot of the kids here were there every day for countless hours, and I mean, we love doing it. So a lot of us are hoping to have careers in this field and have lives involving horses, and with the improvements, I feel like it would benefit us, benefit the horses. We'd spend even more time there, and I mean, this is what we love to do. So this is what we want to do with our lives. Yeah. So thanks for your support of Watchung Stables. It's truly a special place for all of us, and thank you again.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on resolutions being offered for adoption?
Hello everyone, my name is Emmy Reddy and I live in Westfield. I am speaking on behalf of Resolution 712. I've been riding at Watchung since I am 9 years old and I'm 14 now, so that's a pretty long time. I lease a horse named Rookie. I ride in troop, drill, summer camp, and participate in anything else the barn has to offer. I'm there every day for a very long time and is my favorite place to be. It is basically like my second home. I've made so many close friends there, and I couldn't imagine my life without those friends that I've made. Watchung Stables is such a good environment for everyone, and these improvements will only make it better. I always see visitors as well as riders walking around with big smiles on their faces. These renovations would mean I could lease all year round, and nothing would make me happier. I know many of the other riders would agree. I couldn't imagine where I'd be today and what my life would be like without the stables, so thank you for all your support.
Thank you.
My name is Tommy Mead. I live in Clark, New Jersey, and I'm speaking on behalf of Resolution 712. Good evening, chosen Board of Freeholders, residents of Union County and surrounding counties, and fellow Watchung Stable members. I have been riding at Watchung Stables for over 5 years. I'm an active member of the Watchung Junior Hunt Club and ride at the barn as often as I can. Being a part of the Watchung community has truly helped define the person that I am today. I have made valuable friendships and learned invaluable lessons. Riding is not only something I love to do, but enables me to build a strong sense of patience, trust, and strength. I have built a bond with many of the horses at the barn and also learned that things that occur while riding can't be predicted. I began riding shortly after my twin sister did, and I immediately knew that it was something I would continue for a long time. At first, all I wanted to do was go faster. I soon learned that this didn't hold true. The things we work on at Watchung not only ensure our safety, but a sense of enjoyment as well. I know that Watchung is only growing as a barn. The sense of pure joy that all of its riders receive just by walking into the barn is something I haven't seen anywhere else. Rachel truly does an outstanding job in caring for the riders and the horses as well. It is without question that the stable is something she pours her entire heart into. The riders feed off of that positivity and often want to do anything they can to give back to their favorite barn. Between weekly lessons, summer camps, horse shows, ring rentals, horse leases, drill team, and lead line rides, there is truly something for everybody. Watchung works to offer a safe, affordable, and enjoyable program for anyone that is interested. I know that everyone at the stable would agree with me in saying that only positive things have come from their experience here. Watchung Stables has truly changed my life and given me the gift of riding that I will have for the rest of my life. I would like to thank you, the board of chosen freeholders, for always being so supportive and generous towards the stable. This program would not be as successful as it is today without the kindness you have shown us in the past and continue to show us now. Our entire community cannot begin to thank you enough for the generosity you have shown to Watchung. We hope that you recognize the far-reaching effects that it has on the entire county, as well as residents outside of Union County. As a community, we all cannot express how grateful we are for your support. Thank you for your time and support.
Anyone else wishing to speak on resolutions being offered for adoption?
Hello. My name is Nicole Morris, and I live in Hillside, New Jersey. I'm here to speak on Resolution 712. Since I go to Hillside, I am active in a lot of things at the school. I do athletic training, and I play soccer. But anybody that knows me knows that I'll always say that soccer is my first sport. It's horseback riding. And being one of the first people to ride horses at Hillside in my generation, it's always been a struggle to help people understand the beauty and the passion that I have for the sport. But now that I've started to embrace it and to gain friends and to bring people up there, they've started to realize, wow, this is a great place to ride and form beautiful bonds that you'll have for life. Like half these people I've known for my entire life. I grew up with Emma riding, and Rachel has done a beautiful job running the place. And the improvements that we have thankfully taken into account for are not only going to help us build our better riding skills, but also benefit the horses, because not only is this improvement going to help us, but it's going to ensure that the horses have a better place to be taken care of for, because nobody wants to be on a horse that knows that it does not want to go outside because it's cold. And we all know that some of the horses there do not want to go out some days. But now that we have an indoor or even better footing, the horses will be more cooperative. And they know, they all have personalities just like us. And they all know that these improvements will help us the minute they come. And I'd like to thank you again for everything that you're doing with the barn.
Thank you. That's cool. Anyone else wishing to speak on resolutions being offered for adoption? I never thought of this from a horse's perspective. Ron should have brought a few horses.
Good evening. Bill Nearstead. I'm a councilman in Garwood, and I was looking at Resolution 711, and what caught my eye was the name Flanagan, because you may or may not know that Flanagan constructed the sports and recreation facility in Garwood. And our relationship was not always cordial, and I was actually going to recommend to the body that you kind of watch the firm. But then I read further, and it's actually a change order to reduce the original contract amount. So after I got over that shock, I wanted to ask two things. One, how you did that, and two, if you could send any of these savings over to Garwood to pay for our change orders. That went the other way. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Zuber, you can address the first question. I don't think the second. Maybe we'll find another way.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That change order is a result of an estimate that we had in case there was tainted soil on the site. It's a pretty big piece of property, and there was none. So,
all right. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to comment on resolutions being offered for adoption?
Good evening, Freeholder Chair Jolly, ladies and gentlemen of the Freeholder Board, Bruce Patterson, also of Garwood, as much as Councilman Neerstead is. Just running down, 710 is the Hart grants, $100,000. I think that went up $25,000. I guess if somebody could confirm that. It's always good to hear what it's used for. Some of it sounds very, very interesting. Yeah, the 7-Eleven on the bottom there, Flanagan. The question is, when you say it was used for estimated tainted soil, I thought normally there's hazmat surveys done, so you know exactly what is there. So I don't know why you had that $500,000 in the first place if the survey mentioned that there is no tainted soil. On the top of page 2, number 712, many the equestrians spoke about it. $2.2 million for, I don't know exactly what is going on over there at the riding stable, but I hope that $2.2 million is going to at least stop the horses from escaping and running around. Number 725 on page 3, internal position control schedules, if somebody can give me an overview of what that is. 726 is something that's going to HFT management, purpose of providing advertising on Union County paratransit system vehicles. I think I was here the last meeting. That might have been a state program that you're reaching out for. But the interesting thing, I looked at HFT, and you know I always talk about political donations. HFT gave $4.4 thousand in 3 years to the Republicans. So that's interesting. 730 on the bottom of page 3. $850,000 to Taser for entering into an agreement for cameras, body cameras. Garwood is partaking in this. They talked about it at the council meeting, and I just want to thank you very much for the opportunity for Garwood to obtain the body cameras with no cost initially in the first year. There will be costs later on in the years. On page 4, number 732. Now this I talked at length, the company Acrisure. I talked at length a year ago that Acrisure is involved with Gary Taffet. He was a disgraced chief of staff of McGreevy, was forced to step down from some insider trading scandal, was fined by the SEC for $750,000. And here it is again, you're giving him more money, it looks like, some kind of brokerage services. By the way, he also gave the freeholders and their cronies in Union County $8,000 in 4 years. So I guess, you know, despite his criminality, you'll certainly embrace him. It's a shame. 734, Bauch Zucker, legal firm, a special counsel for labor negotiations. He's increasing legal services. You're paying him another $125,000 for $350,000. Why are you doing this? You basically should know the legal and labor negotiations, the legal cost for it. Why are you increasing it all of a sudden? What benefit is it giving $350,000 to him? I know one benefit is he donates $43,000 to the county freeholders and their cronies in the last 4 years. So, I mean, you know, that kind of makes it all fine. Page 5, number 739, you're giving $400,000 to Workforce Advantage. It's a nonprofit organization. Oddly enough, they're donating $5,000 to the Union County freeholders and their cronies in the last 4 years. I don't know where nonprofits all of a sudden get the money, but they're donating to you. Page 7, number 752, all the way down to 756. That's dispatching. You're talking about dispatching. I know you have the dispatching services now. Exactly what type of dispatching are these people re-signing up, these towns re-signing up? And you had Mountainside on there, and for some reason now Mountainside's not on there. So if somebody could explain. Number 757 to 760. Again, talking about political donations. These are legal firms, LaCourte Bundy, Varity, Kaloji Simmons, Florio Kenny, and Florio Perucci. They've all donated to the Union County freeholders and their cronies in the last 4 years, $178,000 for these firms. And you're giving them an extra $60,000 in legal costs for a total of $180,000.
Thank you very much for your comments.
I haven't even talked about Dakota's Fitzpatrick. Maybe
Thank you
John
very
Murray
much.
will talk about
regard to your first question, I think it's at 710. It is in fact a $25,000 difference from the prior year. I believe the speaker himself actually suggested at one of the meetings that we increase the amount to the HART grant. It's a benefit to our county, and on our webpage is a host of information as to what happens with those with the grant funding and the organizations that utilize them. In fact, one speaker spoke here today as to the utilization of those funds. As to 7-Eleven, I believe there was a follow-up question with regard to the soil. Ron, if you can, Zuber, if you can answer that.
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, the speaker was correct when he says that that type of work was done preceding the actual construction. But due to the fact that there was various oil tanks under the old stadium, we just needed to be sure that the whole property was clean. They took borings in certain areas.
Okay. Thank you. There was a comment with regard to 712, with regard to, I guess, horses staying in the stables. I'm sure we all share that hope.
We certainly do, Chairman.
As to 725, there was a request as to the overview of internal position controls and what that is. If County Manager, perhaps you can address that.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chairman. Those position controls relate to positions in the Sheriff's Department.
Right. And then the remaining questions I had, or statements were statements, in fact, and comments. But 752 was a question as to what type of dispatch. Director Moran, if you can address that.
Good evening, Chairman. As the Freeholder Board's well aware, dispatch services vary widely between municipalities depending on what their needs are. For Hillside, we do fire and EMS dispatch. For Roselle, we also do fire and EMS dispatch. Roselle Park, fire and EMS dispatch. Springfield, we do fire EMS dispatch, and we're their primary answering point for 911. And for Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital, we dispatch their 2 paramedic units out of Rahway.
Thank you.
And Mountainside was inadvertently added to the agenda, but their contract doesn't end until next year. That's why it was taken off.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak on resolutions being offered for adoption?
John Burry, Kenilworth. Just two resolutions I have questions on. First is 712. After all this, I am kind of curious. What is being built there? It's $2.2 million. I got the feeling it was some kind of dome or stadium or something. I don't know. What is that going to buy? And what is that? It says at the end of it, 210-020. What does that mean? Is that the project that started in 2010? And also there's the number 33215. I mean, what does that mean in reference to this? And the other part is on, let's see. I think it's the 732. Now this is brokerage service and there's no money attached, so I presume it's going to be premium or commissions that these guys are going to get off of the whatever they sell. So the question is, what is this for? Is this for all the insurance, the whatever, the $45 million that's spent on health and all that? How much does that encompass? And the second question is, I'm not positive of this, but I thought this was a contract that Brown & Brown had. What was the reason for dumping Brown & Brown and bringing these, I guess, 2 people? Or is that, actually you could say, is that true? Did Brown & Brown have this contract? And if they did, why are they out and these 2 are in? That's it, thanks.
Thank you. Director Zuber, with regard to 712, maybe you can just give a quick overview as to what's being built and explain the numbering system.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, the scope of the project includes a indoor riding ring, which is approximately $900,000 of that $2.3 million. There will be 2 miles of new vinyl fencing throughout the property installed. We are constructing 6 new paddocks. We are refinishing rings, redoing rings 2 and 3. It'll have all-weather dirt on it, so there'll be increased riding time outside during the winter. Also, we'll be redoing the beginner riding ring. We're putting new barn doors on the stable, as well as fixing the ventilation system inside the stables.
And there was a question, I don't know if you can answer it or engineering,
Yes.
but with the project number?
The project originally was conceived in 2010, and that's an internal project number.
Okay. Thanks. With regard to 732, Director Albert?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, the services are for the health insurance consultant and broker services, and also voluntary benefits. There's an RFP process went through, a fair and open process to determine who to contract with.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on resolutions being offered for adoption? Seeing no one, I'll formally close that portion of the meeting. May I have a motion to adopt resolutions 2015-710 through 2015-780?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Freeholder Hudak, seconded by Freeholder Wright. Clerk of the board, may I have a roll call?
Freeholder Estrada?
Yes.
Freeholder Granados?
Yes to all, and abstain with the exception of 2015-739, which I'm abstaining from.
That is 739.
39.
Freeholder Hudak?
Aye to all.
Freeholder Kowalski?
Yes.
Freeholder Mirabella?
Aye.
Freeholder Wright?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Bergen?
Yes.
And Chairman Jallo?
Aye.
Chairman, you have 8 votes in the affirmative with the exception of Resolution 2015-739 with 7 votes in the affirmative and 1 abstention.
Thank you. The meeting is now open to the public for the purpose of commenting on any governmental issue that a member of the public feels may be of the concern of the residents of the county. Kindly state your name, town of residence for the record, and adhere to the 5-minute time limit.
Good evening, Chair Jolly, ladies and gentlemen of the Freeholder Board, Bruce Patterson, Garwood. I'll try to contain myself a little better than last meeting. Although, you know what? That word scumbag that I used was actually used on Under the Dome TV program like a couple of days later. So, I mean, it may be derogatory, but it's not defamatory. So. But anyway, the executive session in the last meeting, it was for negotiations with PBA 199. I'm really not talking about PBA 199, but I am talking about negotiations in general. A couple of years ago, when you were slowly finishing up, I think it was 25 or 26 union or collective bargaining units. At the same time, people were coming here and actually talking about the health care costs, and that they're becoming very extravagant to the taxpayers since we're paying it all. I think in this year's budget, it was somewhere around $52 million or $56 million. I mean, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. In particular, especially when you already downsize a lot of people from the Runnels sale, and yet you're spending a lot of money on that. A lot of, one person, I forgot who he was, or a couple of people actually came and they suggested that you go into the joint insurance, New Jersey Joint Insurance Fund for the health insurance, and that's a good idea. It sounds like you're going through the cycle again with negotiations at the collective bargaining units. I think it's about time. Now you should start moving over into the joint insurance fund. There were numbers that were tossed around a couple of years ago. The savings was around $7 million. Somebody actually had numbers and such, and that recall. So $7 million you could save. Let's say $5 million, just for the heck of it. So we could save $5 million. The taxpayers could save $5 million out of our pockets. And it's up to you to do something like that in these collective bargaining negotiations. In addition, and it's interesting, in your budget this year, the opt-out for the health insurance, and that's when a spouse has insurance and the other person who's working for the county doesn't need insurance, so he opts out and he takes like $3,000 to $5,000, depending on family or single. But anyway, that was interesting because last year it was $1.3 million, no, it's $1.5 million in the budget. This year it's actually $1.8 million in opt-out costs. And this was despite the couple of hundred people that were being laid off from Runnels. So, I mean, to me, I was scratching my head on that. I didn't talk about that really too much in the budget meetings, but something doesn't make sense there. And what I'm leading up to about this opt-out cost is that these people that are opting out, they presently, if they had insurance, would have to pay 30% of the premium based on the state legislature's bill that they passed, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. And the 30% of the premium they're saving, that's not coming out of their pocket, that should be the cost savings to the person itself, not this additional $3,000 to $5,000. Seriously, look at that. Garwood had put that in place, recognizing that value, that you don't have to shell out this money. Like I said, this is taxpayers' money that you're giving to your employees. $1.8 million. Possibly you could save at least $500,000, maybe $1 million there. So the $5 million and then move over to the joint insurance fund, the $1 million for the opt-out. Brown & Brown, I think, is your agent that handles this. I'm not 100% sure, but I know they were making $2 to $3 million, and so they wouldn't be doing that. That's part of the savings there. It's a great idea. You're now going through negotiation cycles. I suggest you seriously implement the JIF. Let's go back to like the other week when I was escorted out. And, normally I do apologize for using that word, but obviously the word wasn't as bad as you made it out to be. And to tell you the truth, I mean, I heard, I was out of the meeting obviously, but I did hear the explanation from Council Barry about why you did not explain the reason that it was still not signed. To me, that's a crime. I mean, 3 times, 4 times this question was asked. Finally, after the 4th time, in another meeting, when I stood up and I used that derogatory name and I was escorted out, finally you came out with the answer. Why didn't, in the first 3 times, why didn't you explain that in the first 3 times?
Thank you very much for your comments.
To where
your time is up. Anyone else wishing to speak or comment on make any comments at all?
Thank you very much.
Seeing no one, I'll open the. Oh, welcome, please.
Does it have to be on something on the agenda?
No, it's any governmental issue.
I'm sorry, I'm late. On that resolution?
No, any governmental issue. You're.
Any topic?
Yes. And please state your name and the town of residence.
Okay. My name is Barbara Kraus. I'm a resident of Cranford. I have something I would like to share with you. If it is okay, could I give it to the clerk?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Good evening, freeholders. As I said, my name is Barbara Kraus. The reason I am here this evening, and there is in your packet the letter that I'm going to read, and also some photographs that I will refer to, and also some supplementary material on this topic that I'm going to address. And that is the mature landmark trees in Union County parks. And there are the 2 pages of photographs enclosed. As a current 10-year appointed member of the Cranford Township Tree Advisory Board, it is recognized that our treasure trees are my deep concern. Recently, I have observed landmark or historic trees that stand in Union County parks located in Cranford. I am aware these trees are not the responsibility of the Cranford Tree Advisory Board. However, as a Union County resident, they are my legitimate issue. In Sperry Park, number 1. During the reconstruction of Sperry Park about 3 or 4 years ago, I spoke at this Freeholder Board to voice my complaint over the way that the contractor, under supervision of the county, was not following proper tree protection policies regarding the 200-year-old or more sycamore tree on the eastern bank of the Rolway River. As you know, this park was the location of General George Washington's Canton troops during the American Revolution. That young sycamore could well have been witness to that event. Today, it has stood as a sentinel towering over the park and the river. In the faulty design of that park, the newly constructed blacktop path was positioned about a foot from the base of the tree. In addition, I observed heavy construction equipment, excavation equipment constantly passing back and forth adjacent to the tree for weeks, compacting the roots and soil. And this situation is addressed in the material I have given you from the University of Colorado and another university. This equipment constantly passed back and forth adjacent to the tree for weeks, compacting the roots and soil. This is what I had come to the Freeholder Board a few years ago. It is shameful that in your plans there was abundant area to relocate the path sufficiently away from the tree, but that was not done. There are professional formulas or best management practices to preserve tree health during construction, which is in that material that I gave you. You're invited to Google guidelines for tree management in construction area to sample the vast data put forth from reputable sources. The result is that, as expected, when a tree is abused and neglected, this beautiful tree is now in decline and dying. It is putting out small, new growth, but the tree needs an independent, qualified professional to evaluate and advise this county on its future. Then, secondly, McConnell Park. A second landmark tree is located in the center of this park on the horseshoe turn of the Rollway River on Eastman Street. Again, this magnificent tulip tree is the jewel of the park, but it has sustained years of scraping and abuse of its bark at the base by close-cutting maintenance equipment and other projects in the park. This continued bark degradation can lead to insect and disease infestation. The tree deserves identification and protection. These trees have bravely and steadfastly withstood decades of hurricanes, floods, and wars, but they cannot withstand the abuse and neglect of man. The third tree is Nomahegan Park. An immense sycamore on the eastern bank of the takeoff of the lake off Park Drive was endangered during the revision work done about the lake 2 years ago. Orange construction fencing was not adequately placed away from the tree while construction equipment rolled around it for weeks. And again, that's in the material I have given to you. This tree forms the centerpiece of that portion of the lake and deserves proper protection of its roots and soil by the contractor and county. Adequate tree protection measures, which is fencing out to the farthest limb distance, written into contracts can prevent problems. You, the freeholders, may be connected to us, as your theme says, but you are not connected to your park's trees.
Thank you.
I suggest that a portion, last sentence, I suggest that a portion of the abundant taxes that you collect for the Open Space and Recreation Fund be allotted to our neglected parks and trees.
Thank you very much
And
for,
that
for
you
your
retain the
comments.
proper professionals to prepare.
I'll certainly take a look into this and look into the
The
material that you've
idea
given
is
to
to
us
try
and also
to
read
get-
to us. Thank you very much. We
to
have to
get
move
a
on to the next
plan
speaker.
to protect
Anyone else
these
wishing to
trees.
speak on any governmental issue, please
Thank
do
you.
so. Thank you very much.
Hello again. I'm Nicole Morris.
Welcome back.
I live in Hillside, New Jersey, and I'm here on behalf of Conant Park in Hillside, New Jersey. Again, as I told you, I play soccer, and on occasions where we have boys varsity, girls varsity, and boys JV, that we don't have enough field to play so that we can all play on a hillside field. So sometimes we have to turn to Conant Field to play on. And yes, Conant has 2 soccer fields, one upper and one lower, that we can play on. But in regards to this, the fields aren't as well kept as they should be, and it's very, very dangerous to the athletes. For example, there's a girl on our team that we were running sprints on the field, not off the field, on the field, and she fell into a ditch and almost broke her ankle. And it's just dangerous because, especially to other teams that aren't aware of these problems and issues that are on the field, that they can further injure themselves. And we do not want that to happen. Yes, we want to win, but we would not like to win in that area. Recently, we have noticed, because majority of the field, instead of being grass, like they spray paint the white lines on the dirt. So the lines aren't there, so we do not know where out of bounds is. But now they have put what looks like dirt, but as you look closer, it's actually a mix of dirt, mulch, and rocks onto the field, which is also very dangerous to our athletes, because if you are to fall, you would scrape your arms up, or you could even further injure yourself if anything else happens. I would just like for the board to look into this so that we do not have any more injuries to our athletes, because as you know, our athletes are students first, and if an athlete misses school because of an injury that could be prevented, it would be marvelous for you guys just to look at it, just to take accountability for it, please, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your comments. You actually got a call on that park this week and contacted our Parks Department to look into it on Tuesday. So we'll be looking into it further and following up. Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to comment, to make any comments? All right, seeing no one, I'll close that portion of the meeting and go to Freeholder reports. Freeholder Kowalski.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to thank everyone who came to address us tonight. Always good to hear from our residents, and especially the young people who spoke on the stables, and the people who spoke about heart grants, and thanks also, of course, to Ms. Morris and Mrs. Kraus. About the heart grants, these are grants that are used by so many people. It's dozens of organizations that use the heart grants, and we actually are a model for all of the state in this grant that we set up before anybody else did this kind of grant to arts groups and organization and also individuals. They are used for, the grants are small. They can be just a couple of $100 up to a couple of $1,000, and what they are able to do in the community is worth so much more than the dollars that we put into it. In fact, the addition that we provided on the agenda today restores the heart grants to where they were before the economic recession. So I thank my colleagues for approving this, and I thank all of the applicants and the groups who do the fine artwork that we see all around the county, whether it's funded by this grant or by some of the others that our chairman has put forth this year, and many other grants. About the county clerk and vote by mail and the ballot, I would like to add to our county clerk, Mr. Joppy's information that that our fees from property transactions have increased in the last year, reflecting an improved housing market, always a good sign for the county's economy. And a small portion of those fees is reserved for programs to prevent homelessness. So we expect that we'll be able to provide more services to help struggling households get back on their feet. Mr. Joppy worked with the freeholders to make this program available in Union County, and we are one of only 8 counties to offer it. Hopefully others will join us. Please have a look at the county clerk's UC Votes app. This is a free app that gets important election information to you on your mobile device. Also, for anyone interested in becoming a notary, or if you are a notary looking to update your skills, Mr. Joppy is also hosting a notary training session on Friday, September 25th, and there will be a presentation by our own freeholder Bruce Bergen, who's a partner at Krebsky, Silber, and Bergen. And you can get more information on these programs by going to our website, ucnj.org/county-clerk, or call 908-527-4787. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Freeholder Estrada.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I just want to concentrate on one item, that is tomorrow's date. Tomorrow, once again, we come across 9/11 for another year. I think it should be used as a time of reflection. I hope that many of our residents will join us at, I think 6 o'clock or 6:30 at Echo Lake, where we have our memorial to the victims. We lost approximately 60 residents of Union County on that particular tragic day. And I think it's important, once again, to utilize this opportunity to really think about the events that took place and all the things that followed. And I think there is no doubt that this is a time that we still remember those individuals that we lost and the impact that it had to their families and, of course, our communities, and the impact that is still being felt today. So with that, I cease my comments, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Freeholder Mirabella.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to add a little bit more information to what Freeholder Estrada just mentioned about tomorrow evening's vigil in Echo Lake Park in Mountainside. From 6 to 9, we will have the Sheriff's Office will provide a uniformed honor guard. The public is invited to light candles there and pay their respects, and it's truly a memorial that we worked on, shortly after September 11th, but seems to me gets better every year with some of the plantings that have grown in and some of the flowering and the trees that are in the area. It just is a continuing monument to those who lost their lives on that dreadful day. And I hope people will come and pay their respects as they do every year. It's a great sight and a good place to pay your respects. Next Friday, September 19th, please join us all on the steps of the County Courthouse in Elizabeth for POW MIA Remembrance Day, as we take time to remember and honor the personal sacrifices of our prisoners of war and military personnel that's missing in action. The ceremony will start at 11:15 on the courthouse steps, and if there's in the chance of rain, will be handled inside the rotunda. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Freeholder. Freeholder Hudak.
Thank you, Chairman. September is National Preparedness Month, and with that in mind, I wanted to share some information from the Ready campaign. As you know, in recent years, we had some significant storms and weather events in the months of September and October, so it's a good time to remind everyone that there are things that we can do, steps we can take to make our home safer, as well as prepare for an emergency should one come up. Hopefully not. Hopefully I'm not jinxing us right now. So emergency experts recommend that every household and business be prepared to spend at least 3 days without power or access to local grocery stores or other services. This includes topping off your gas tank ahead of a storm, avoiding unnecessary travel in the aftermath. It's been 3 years since Hurricane Sandy, but the event is still very fresh in our memories. So please take a few minutes to visit the Ready campaign online. That's ready.gov, and take a look at the guidance it offers. If you haven't done so, it's a good time also to sign up for Union County First Alert, where you can be informed on your mobile device about events, county information, emergencies. Local municipalities also take advantage of it to let people know about various things going on in town. So it's a free service. You can sign up at ucfirstalert.org. Thank you very much, Chairman.
Freeholder Granados.
Thank you, Chairman. Just want to echo the comments of Freeholder Mirabella and Freeholder Estrada when it comes to tomorrow. Even if you can't make it to any local municipality or to the county's 9/11 vigil, please take time out of your day to remember all the people who lost their lives on 9/11 and the sacrifices they made for our country leading after that. That's it. Thank you, Chairman.
Freeholder Wright.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to remind our residents that New Jersey's new child safety seat regulations took effect on September the 1st. The proper use of child safety seats is one of the simplest and most effective methods available for protecting the lives of young children in the event of a motor vehicle accident. I encourage anyone who's responsible for transporting a small child to visit our free Union County Safety Seat Inspection Program and make sure their child's seat is properly installed. The Safety Seat Inspection Program is open every Wednesday and Thursday from 7:30 a.m. until 11 a.m. It is located at the Garwood Rescue Squad at 401 2nd Avenue in Garwood. Also on Saturday, September the 19th, as part of the National Seat Check Saturday, trained technicians from our program will conduct child seat inspections at the Babies R Us on Route 22 in Union. This special event is also sponsored in part by AAA Northeast, the New Jersey division. For more information about Union County's Child Safety Seat Inspection Program, visit cnjc.org/child safety seats or call 908-789-6830. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. As we heard earlier, the Freeholder Board did vote tonight to move forward with the renovation and expansion of the Watchung Stable. And we heard from many of those who use that facility. But I want to just note how that stable fits into our overall plan for our park system. Union County Park System was established almost 100 years ago as a democratic institution to ensure that county residents from all walks of life could enjoy open space and healthy activities. From the beginning, that included public access to facilities that otherwise required membership in a private club, such as golf, tennis, swimming, ice skating, and of course, horseback riding. Since 1926, the Watchung Stables has been one of our most popular public facilities. Every year, hundreds of children learn discipline, confidence, and responsibility in the Watchung Stable mounted troops and other programs, and demand is growing. Through this new project, we are carrying on a valuable public legacy in a fiscally responsible manner while enabling more county residents to participate in this unique, enriching experience. And I'm very proud of this board for having moved ahead with this project. I also want to note that Sunday evening will begin the Jewish holidays, one of the holiest times of year for the Jewish people, and a time of atonement and renewal. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. County Council.
No comments. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
County Manager.
No comments, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I recently had the pleasure of attending the grand opening for UGG store at the Jersey Gardens Mall. That's a shoe store. For those of you who've ever had to buy Uggs. Through the efforts of Union County Workforce Investment Innovation Center, UGG was able to train many Union County residents and hire. So the Workforce Innovation Center was able to train, and UGG was able to hire Union County residents to be for full-time and part-time positions at their store. I'm pleased to announce that our overall investment in this Workforce Innovation Center has continued to reap dividends for the county. Since we voted last year to approve the funding for this program, we've partnered with over 20 regional employers to fill over 400 new jobs of Union County residents, all right? And that's 400 jobs, and I'm told there's another 400 on the way that's already been promised by employers. So, I mean, this is something that the county government that we're doing that is absolutely fantastic. I mean, partnering and providing soft skill training for our residents and creating a program where those residents can be placed in jobs is just, I mean, it's when we go there to and I know I've been there with Freeholder Granados and probably all the freeholders here. I mean, the looks on the face of our residents is just, it makes the whole thing worthwhile. Worthwhile. And in addition to that, the feedback that we've gotten back from the employers is fantastic because of the training skills of the employees that we provide for them is actually a benefit from the employer. In fact, when we were there with Wegmans, that in Clark, that hired Union County residents, you know, they actually advised us that they were going to use our program to or use the residents from our program as their regional to participate in not just the store in Clark, but the Wegmans in their regional district. So that's really good. And in more good news, we've just received news that 2 more major employees, Clean Venture and Marshalls, are partnering with the Workforce Innovation Center to offer more than 200 new jobs. So I hope to be able to say at the end of the year that we did 1,000. And I think we're well on our way to do that. I'm also pleased to announce an update to the board. Another worthwhile initiative we announced at the beginning of this year is College Readiness Now program. Myself and Freeholder Granados visited with students taking courses this week at the colleges at the Union County College building here in Elizabeth and witnessed the program firsthand. It's designed to test juniors requiring remediation near the end of the academic year, and those who need remediation will have it done before their senior year of high school to ensure that they're college ready. This remediation directly addresses the issue of college students spending 5 years, 6 years, 4.5, whatever the case may be, in school, taking courses that don't give them credit, so they have to stay there longer. This creates an inflation on student loans that I'm sure many of you, and I know I will probably have to pay for the rest of my life. This can alleviate many of them, for having to spend the correct amount of years in college, or the minimal, should I say, amount of years in college as opposed to those extra years. It's a great program, partnered with Union County College and Dr. McMenamin, and it was great to witness it, and we hope that it looks like it hits the ground running, and we hope that it takes off. It's going to be launched with 4 county high schools: Plainfield High School, Abraham Clark High School, David Burley High School of Kenilworth, and Hillcrest Academy, and I'm told another 6 high schools are seeking to participate as well. And this is a fantastic program, and I'm proud that the board has agreed to participate in this as well. Finally, I want to update you guys on Art Outside the Box. I want the residents at home. It's an initiative to do arts and provide a covering over some of the traffic boxes that are eyesores throughout the county. And we've selected 4 towns, 4 municipalities, and residents have submitted artwork. We've sent that artwork to the municipalities of, at this time, Plainfield, Rahway, Linden, and who am I forgetting? Elizabeth. And they are selecting their 5 out of the 10 to be placed on the boxes. The residents, I want you all to stay tuned and actually look up on our website, because you have the opportunity to select which pieces of art will actually go on the boxes. You'll be able to vote online, and out of those 5, you guys will select the 3 that end up on the boxes. This is a wonderful program, and I'm happy to report that it's going well. And finally, UC ACT, Union County Advancing Community Theater. I know many of you saw some of the shows that were playing a few weeks ago at the Union County Performing Arts Center, Legally Blonde and Hairspray. Immense successes that brought over 2,000 people into Rahway over that weekend. Fantastic performances of Union County residents. Hairspray brought a lot of the students from our VOTEC schools, our magnet schools, specifically, I guess, the APA school, to perform, and they were absolutely extraordinary. Coming up this week is Wild Party. I suggest that you guys check it out. I do want to say it's for mature audiences, but it's a great show, and yeah, it's a great show, and I ask you guys to go check it out. And that's all. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right, all in favor?
Aye. Good.
Meeting adjourned.
I'm not sure what